and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game.
Come on! That's fired, that's caught, and that is Hodge. And Hodge is going to take it to the end zone. A most improbable win for the Atlanta Falcons.
Al Michaels on the call there. Amazon, I should say. Amazon Prime. As the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers give us actually a hell of a Thursday night game. You wouldn't know it if you were just listening to the actual broadcast because you probably were falling asleep. God love you, Al. But what a game last night. And not just that one. We'll get into Mets Brewers because the polar bear is back, baby. Ice in his veins. And the Mets are moving on to the NLDS to take on their division rival, Philadelphia Phillies. So I'm so excited to talk sports today. We got, obviously, Niners. We got Cardinals. Week 5, 888-957-9570. I want to hear from all of you people. 888-957-9570. Call or text the Comcast Business text line. Who you got? Give me predictions. What do you like this weekend? You can give me any game you like. All your bets, whatever. It's a feel-good Friday. It's not a payday Friday, but it's a Phil Collins Friday. It's a football Friday, and we're all excited right here on 95.7 The Game. We got a tremendous guest list today on the Morning Roast. I'll get to that a little bit later in the show, but you are not going to want to miss today's program. I think we're going to talk some Cal Miami as College Game Day is live from Berkeley tomorrow. You'll see McAfee. You'll see Reese Davies. You'll see the guy that was on TV last night in the Amazon broadcast, Kirk Herbstreit. See them all. You'll see them all. Although, I don't know. Maybe Herbie's, I don't know if he's calling a game tomorrow. So maybe, I don't know. Dave Fleming's calling the game.
Call for the game.
Fleming's on the call, so I don't know if Herbstreit's going to be there, if he's calling another game. I don't know how that works. But Reese
I
Davis.
think the way it happens is he'll be on the game day set in the morning doing the thing with Lee and all those guys.
And
then after the show ends, he flies to wherever he's calling the game.
That's right. His schedule is absolutely nuts. I think they do that every week, right? They chart where he's flying to all around. So yeah, him and Fowler will be calling some other game. But you got McAfee. Is he going to be in the tank top? We got Saban there. Saban in Berkeley? When's the last time Nick Saban was out in Berkeley? Come on.
I can't imagine he comes out here very often.
No, definitely not. But he's a student of the game. I'm sure he's been out here sometime. But I can't wait for that. It's just going to be a tremendous weekend in sports. And we're going to be breaking it down all right here on 95.7 The Game. 888-957-9570. What are you looking forward to watching the most this weekend? And last night was a banner night for both sports, I thought. Just tremendous action down to the wire. Let's start with the football game first. Because, my God, the boneheaded plays from both teams, it obviously gave us a great ending, but it really shouldn't have been as chaotic as it was towards the end of that game. Falcons end up winning 36-30, but it was late in the fourth quarter, and the Bucs get the ball back, and they're driving down. They're running the ball very well, and you know what? All you need to do is run the clock out and get another first down. The game's over. And Bucky Irving, rookie out of Oregon, as some call it, fumbles the ball. The one thing you cannot do is turn the ball over. You're trying to bleed clock. You're trying to force the other team to use their timeouts. Atlanta had all three of them. You milked the clock, and they were running it down their throat. It looks like, all night, no one was stopping a nosebleed on both sides, defenses anyways. But Atlanta just couldn't stop the run. And Irving had it, but as rookies do, they cough up the ball. And Jesse Bates had not one, but two huge forced fumbles in that game. The second one, they recovered. First one, Mike Evans was on top of it. But the second one was massive. Or was it? Because Atlanta got the ball back, all three timeouts, chance to either drive to win the game or at least tie it up. And what do? Just have three of the worst play calls I've ever seen, given the circumstances. They find themselves in a 4th and 15 situation, and they have to go for it because they have all three of their timeouts. A field goal doesn't kill them. They'll still be down 6. So they go for it. Levante David picks it off. Everyone's going to sleep. All right, this game's over. Not so fast. As I go Lee Corso. Not so fast. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers one-up the Atlanta Falcons after getting the ball back and have horrific play call after horrific play call. They start with a run to the left, get stuffed, -2 yards. Great. Run another play. Oh, yeah. Okay. Holding, offense, 10-yard penalty. Not only does that stop the clock, it also pushes you out of field goal range. So that's a double whammy. So now Atlanta has 2 timeouts, and they got good field position. And then what do? You run a screen pass to the same side. You boot to the left to run a screen pass to the left. And you show the replay, and Mike Evans is running wide open for a walk-off touchdown if you needed him to do that. You didn't even need a touchdown. You just needed a first down. The game was over. But I'm sure Mike Evans' fantasy owners were going nuts, although he had a great night anyway, so they shouldn't be complaining too much. Mike Evans, by the way, he's easily the most underrated player of his era. It's not even close. He's so damn good. And I think everyone thought coming out, obviously it was him and Johnny Manziel. And Johnny Football got all the adoration. But what Mike Evans has been able to do with Tampa Bay, with all those different quarterbacks, with all those different head coaches over the years, I was so happy to see him get rewarded with Tom Brady, a Hall of Fame quarterback for once. God love you, Jameis. But the 30-30, and we're not talking about the ESPN documentary season. Yeah. It's tough to watch at times, and I'm sure Mike was going nuts as well. But shout out Mike Williams, another impressive game last night. He's looking for his 100th touchdown reception. He has 100 touchdowns, but one of them was a fumble recovery, so he's stuck on 99 for now. But back to the actual game, as I do my little tangent on Mike Evans. You have to punt the ball back if you're Tampa. You had to punt it back. At least if you get a field goal, it makes them drive the length of the field for a touchdown, which seems a lot less likely. I mean, I know Younghoe Koo had a blocked field goal earlier. He had a missed one. Guy's been pretty clutch, though, this year. And what happens? You punt the ball into the end zone. You can't even push him back to the 2 or the 3 or inside the 10, for that matter. You punt it into the end zone, start at the 25, and then what happens? Kirk Cousins does his thing. Very impressive 2-minute drill. I know it's like a 1-minute drill at this point, but very impressive nonetheless. Spikes the ball with 1 second left after threading the needle, and they get the game-tying field goal. And what do they do in overtime? Again, Al Michaels.
That's fired, that's caught, and that is Hodge, and Hodge is going to take it to the end zone. A most improbable win for the Atlanta Falcons.
Except it wasn't improbable because that was just an all-time choke job from Tampa. Just the absolute worst play calls, situational football. And again, I watch a game like that, and those teams could be battling in the playoffs. They could be facing the 49ers. The situational football aspect of a guy like a Todd Bowles, guy like Raheem Morris, who's getting a second stint, both of them, just, what are you doing? And then, I didn't even mention the field goal part for the Falcons. They tried to give it away too, because after they got that spike, they had a delay of game. It pushed them back 5 more yards. Maybe that was better for Younghoe Koo. Kind of like the Sebastian Janikowski. It felt better with him kicking 50-plus yarders than under 50, because he seems like those short ones he just always pushed. But Younghoe Koo backed up 5 yards, didn't blink, and they tied the game, and the rest is history. So tremendous football last night, but also tremendous baseball last night. Just one game on, and it was Mets-Brewers rubber match, do or die game to advance to play Philadelphia. And both pitchers were tremendous last night out in Milwaukee, which, of course, as we all know, is Algonquin for the good land. Shout out Wayne's World. But you look at Jose Quintana for the Mets, 6 innings, 4 hits given up, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. 6 innings is pretty good in a do-or-die game. On the flip side, Tobias Myers, 5 innings, 2 hits, 5 strikeouts, same. Just gutsy performances from both sides. And then as soon as Quintana leaves, the Mets fans are feeling like, oh boy. And then they got to. I don't mean to make fun of the last name because listen, my last name gets made fun of all the time. But that can't be his last. Jose Butto, that can't be it. The guy that gave up the 2 runs to the Brew. That can't be right. I'm assuming it's Butto, but it's spelled Butto. That's unfortunate. Oh boy. But don't worry. Edwin Diaz came in, got everyone out of it. And then in the top of the 9th, down 2-0, runners on first and third, 1 out. The polar bear, Pete Alonso, comes to the plate in the biggest moment of his career. And this happens.
The pitch. Swing and the ball drilled. Right field. Frelick back. At the wall. Out of here! It's out of here! Alonso, an opposite field home run, and the Mets had the lead. Pete Alonso, the polar bear, takes Devin Williams deep. And here in the 9th, the comeback kids have done it again. It's 3-2 Mets.
John Shambi on the call for ESPN. 3-run jack. They would add on another run there to make it 4-2, and the Mets are advancing to the NLDS. So you got Mets, Phillies, you got Dodgers, Padres, and you got Rob Manfred foaming at the mouth with this Final Four in the National League. I mean, God love the Brewers. They're not drawing a lot of eyeballs. Mets, Phillies, going to draw a lot of eyeballs. Padres, Dodgers, going to draw a lot of eyeballs. So, can't wait for that. Can't wait for Yankees, Royals. I actually am interested in that one because you got the 2 best players in the American League going at it. Bobby Witt and Aaron Judge. And then you've got the Detroit Tigers versus the Cleveland Guardians. And listen, Detroit, hey, they're the darlings right now. Hey, everyone's pulling for Detroit. No one expected them to be here. So why not them? But going back to that clutch home run from Pete Alonso, Devin Williams, the closer at the time, the airbender as they call him. So it was airbender versus polar bear. I'm assuming polar bear would be a waterbender if this was the Avatar universe. Shout out Aang and Katara. But Devin Williams had only given up 1 home run all season long. 1. But gives up probably the biggest of his career and the biggest of Pete Alonso's yesterday. Baseball's funny like that. In the playoffs specifically, crazy things happen. I mean, I'll have to tell Giants fans, and it's probably annoying watching all these different playoff moments, knowing the Giants had so many, I should say, in 2010, 2012, and 2014, whether it's Bumgarner, whether it's Posey, whether it's Crawford, whether it's Ishikawa, whether it's Tim Lincecum, whether it's Barry Zito, right? All these guys, whether it's Edgar Renteria, whether it's Marco Scudero, whether it's Hunter Pence hitting the ball 3 times. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of moments. And that was a moment last night where if you're a Giants fan watching, it's like, man, I want to get back to that. Now, I saw a lot of Giants fans, our own Bonte Hill. I saw a lot of people saying, go get me Pete Alonso. And then just going to, hey, you could dream. Let's wait here. I know Farhan's not there anymore. So maybe the expectations and maybe people are getting way more excited. I need to see it to believe it when it comes to the San Francisco Giants landing a marquee star. All right? Let's take a deep breath. That would be awesome. That would be amazing. But Pete Alonso is also a New York Mets legend, and a New York Mets legend just hit the biggest home run that the New York Mets have hit in I don't know how many years. At least since, 2015, when they played or went on that run to the World Series against the Royals. I mean, that was 9 years ago. So the biggest home run in 9 years. And we did the same thing. And I get it. The Mets aren't the Yankees, but they're still the Mets. They are a marquee brand, and it's New York City. And what happened with Aaron Judge? Oh, he's not going to leave the Yankee. Well, we might be able to get him. Oh, Aaron Judge is come visiting. He won't leave the New York Yankees for the Giants. Will he? I get similar vibes with Pete Alonso. I think they're going to make him a made man out in New York. He's Mr. Met now at this point. They're going to shell him the bag. I would be very surprised if he ended up leaving the New York Mets. But you know what, Giants fans? I'm not going to tell you not to get excited. Just cautious optimism. How about that? That'd be the phrase I would use heading into this Buster Posey era. It'd be cautious optimism because I don't know what to expect. I don't. But I do know this. Giants fans in the Bay Area at large, we miss playoff baseball desperately. And hopefully they can get back to that sooner rather than later. But something we have grown accustomed to here is playoff football. And the 49ers are 2-2 right now. They're looking to go 2 in a row here. That's called a winning streak. And let's see if they can make it 3 in a row potentially on Thursday Night Football, less than a week now, over in Seattle. But you got to worry about Kyler Murray first. You got to worry about Budda Baker first. You got to worry about head coach Jonathan Gannon first. And here is the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals talking about the 49ers quarterback, Brock Purdy.
I just think that from when he started to where he's at now, he looks like a 13-year vet, playing at a super high level, plays fast, knows where to go with the ball, extends plays. I think that's an overlooked part of his game. Sometimes he looks like Houdini back there. You know what I mean? It's hard to get him on the ground too. Not being like a quote-unquote, one of those guys that you talk about as a mobile quarterback. He's very mobile. He makes a lot of plays with his legs. And then he's accurate. He's an accurate pass. So decision-making and accuracy, got it. Check. And then he can extend plays. Check.
Looks like a 13-year vet out there. And that's Jonathan Gannon, head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, former defensive coordinator of that Super Bowl Eagles team a few years ago. That's what the opposition's saying. Now, they're going to say a lot of things. They're going to gas up. But you watch Brock Purdy, and it is hard to believe that he's just starting now his second, you would hope, knock on wood, full season in the NFL. It's pretty incredible. And to get that sort of praise from the opposition, from a divisional head coach, a rival, if you will, is pretty insane this early into his career. But that speaks to just how well he's playing right now. Again, he's playing like a top 5 quarterback. Outside of a couple guys, and Baker Mayfield might have been one of them last night, but he's had a stinker against the Denver Broncos. So even Baker I'd put to the side. I'd say it's Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold that have been the two most impressive quarterbacks this season so far. Which is insane to say because they were both 49ers last year. One of them still is, but how crazy is that? You can go Jaden Daniels, sure. He's had the first game against Tampa, I think, was a struggle for him, but the last 3 games, absolutely. He's up there with those guys, even as a rookie, which is insane. So I'm looking at Brock Purdy, and if he just keeps continuing to do this, why not be in the MVP conversation again? Why not Brock? But you got to start stacking wins here. That is a narrative-based award, and you have to be a good team, and being 2-2 and hovering around 500 is not going to be good enough. So I'm expecting Brock to have another big performance. From the defensive end, though, I am curious to see how they will look against a potentially explosive offense in Arizona. I say potentially because that's just the thing with Arizona. They have the potential to beat anyone on any given Sunday, but they also have the potential to lose to anyone on any given Sunday. And you can say, oh, Spadoni, that's the NFL, week-to-week league. No. I knew the 49ers weren't losing to the New England Patriots last week. I knew that. If the Patriots played the Arizona Cardinals this week, and you told me, Spadoni, the Patriots won. I didn't watch the game or anything. The Patriots beat the Cardinals. I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh my God. That's the kind of team the 49ers are dealing with it. But they're dangerous. A team like that is dangerous. They're unpredictable. But that's why keeping Kyler Murray in the pocket, not letting him scamper around, not letting him extend plays like Brock Purdy likes to do, keeping him in that bracket coverage, if you will, like we like to talk about, that Chris Kasarik likes to coach up, that bracket, kind of creating that horseshoe, if you will, so that Kyler Murray can't escape. Because when he escapes and when he extends plays, bad things can happen. And when you got a tight end like they do in Trey McBride, and they got an elite talent and wide receiver like they do in Marvin Harrison, that could be a problem. Now, How good is this Cardinals team offensively? John Gambadoro, Arizona sports talk radio legend, who joined the Morning Roast yesterday, courtesy of the River Islands guest line. This is what he had to say on how good this Cardinals team actually is.
They're probably more like how they played against Buffalo and Detroit than the outlier games. They're not as bad as they were last week against Washington, and it's certainly not as good as they were when they played the Rams and they beat their ass. So they're somewhere in between. I think they're not as good as their best, and they're not as bad as their worst. They're probably more like the team that played against Detroit, played against Buffalo, played them close, not good enough to win, don't have the talent yet. It's going to take a few years to rebuild a roster that was completely gutted and overhauled because of so many failed draft picks. So I think they're probably at their best. They're competitive and they lose to good teams, and they are competitive and they win against bad teams. That's who the Cardinals are.
So if the 49ers are a good team, then they should show it this week, and they should beat the Arizona Cardinals. I believe they are a good team. I believe they've had a lot of injuries to deal with. I think they've had some stinkers. I don't think they've had a lot of games, obviously, only 4 of them, where they have dominated at least 2 of the 3 phases of football. But can they get back to a winning streak here and build some momentum heading in to a short week matchup against the Seattle Seahawks? 888-957-9570. What are you most confident in with the 49ers this Sunday at Levi's Stadium? And what are you most worried about? Is it Fred Warner and his availability? Is it the secondary? Is it Marvin Harrison you're worried about? What are you worried about, and what are you most confident about, 49ers fans? 888-957-9570. Here's more from Gambadoro, as we call him, Gambo. Again, courtesy of the River Islands guest line. Find that entire interview yesterday on With the Morning Roast. You can find it on the Odyssey app. You can find it on YouTube. And by the way, we are streaming on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, all powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Go ahead and give me a follow on Twitter at Spadoni_Joe. Let's get me to 1,000 people, please. I'm desperate. All right. It's a desperation sensation situation. That's a $2. How about that? Gambo, would you rather have Brock Purdy over Kyler Murray?
Look, there's 10 quarterbacks in the league you would take Kyler Murray over, right? But again, like how good is Kyler Murray? I always hate when you get to 6 years into a guy and you're asking that question. Like, I don't know. What do you have in the guy? I'm not sure. I don't know what you have in that guy. So that's always a tough spot. I mean, would I take Purdy over Kyler Murray right now? Yeah. I mean, I would. There's quarterbacks I would take Kyler over, but Brock Purdy or Kyler Murray, I would take Brock at this point.
I don't think that's a hot take anymore. It just speaks to the consistency level, right? If you just watch both quarterbacks this year, the consistency of Kyler has not been close to what Brock Purdy has shown week in and week out. Now, Kyler, I think, does some things that obviously Brock can't do. The explosion, the arm, the speed. But I'll take the consistent quarterback, the consistently good to great, over the flashy every other game performance. I need, Tom Brady consistency levels. I don't need Cam Newton. And not taking anything away from Cam, who was an MVP, very good quarterback, but he was inconsistent a lot of times in his career with his performances. Tom Brady, I knew what I was getting. It wasn't going to be flashy all the times, but it was going to be smart, situational football, get me down the field. That's what I see right now with guys like CJ Stroud, which is why I'm buying stock in him, as we talk about buying stock in players. I'm buying stock in CJ Stroud because of his decision-making, because of the touchdown-interception ratio, because of the arm, the athleticism, but it's the IQ always for me. And not to say that Kyler Murray doesn't have a high IQ, because some of the stuff he does, you clearly have to. Just goes back to consistency. Again, going back to Brock Purdy, the opposition is talking about Brock. The league's on notice about Brock Purdy now. Don't get it twisted. The league is officially on notice. After last year, after the year before that, guy's been to nothing but NFC championships and Super Bowls. All right? That's going to put the league on notice. And it put Budda Baker, who's probably the best defensive player on the Arizona Cardinals, put him on notice. And here's what he had to say about the 49ers quarterback.
He's always seemed like he's been comfortable, but he's even more comfortable throwing the ball inside the numbers, outside the numbers. 9 balls. His accuracy is really good, and also he can get out the pocket and run as well. That's what a lot of people don't really talk about, but he does a great job of making his reads. If they're not there, he'll take that space and get an extra 3 to 4, 5 yards, or if it's a 3rd and 3 situation, he'll get those yak. And he'll run, not even yak, he'll get those, hidden, runs and get a first down. And just, he's a really good game, general of the offense.
He didn't want to say manager there. And that was Budda Baker, secondary player for the Arizona Cardinals. Game general. I don't think I've ever heard that one before. A game general. Not a manager. Not a manager. How's it go, Allen Iverson? Not a game. Not a game manager. We're talking about a game general. Okay. I kind of like that, though. Kind of flip it, make it sound nice. And that's kind of what he's been. He's been a general out there on a battlefield, calling his shots. 888-957-9570. I want to hear you calling your shots, 49ers fans. Who's going to win this weekend and why? 888-957-9570 is the number. What are you most confident in this matchup against the Arizona Cardinals if you're the 49ers? And what are you most worried about? 888-957-9570. Real quick before we hit the break, let's go to Carlos out in San Jose. He wants to join in the conversation. What's going on, Carlos? You're on the pregame show.
Hey, what's going on, Spadoni? Thanks for having me. First-time caller. I listen to you every morning on the way to work, so I appreciate you making my commute a little easier. But just want to go ahead and, I heard your question in regards to concern and what we got going on for the Niners. But hopefully squeeze out a win out of against Cardinals. Ugly or good, a win's a win. But my concern is just, having a short week that we have to kind of turn around on Thursday, especially how the injury bug has been biting us this season.
So you're not worried about the game itself this Sunday. You're worried about after the game. You're looking ahead already to Seattle and then being a little rusty for that one.
Yeah, to your point, I feel like Cardinals are a little bit on the inconsistent side at the moment. So hopefully, I don't want to get too up in the air about it, but, should squeeze out a win. I'm a little bit more worried about the Seattle. Seattle's been looking pretty good on both sides of the ball. So definitely, I hope Niners aren't looking ahead like I am, but hopefully their mind's on the game for Cardinals and then just take on Seattle when the time comes. But I feel pretty confident in getting a victory over Arizona.
There you go. That's Carlos in San Jose. Appreciate you, Carlos. 888-957-9570. I'll react to that call on the other side. What are you most concerned about this Sunday? And what are you most confident in when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers and their matchup against the Arizona Cardinals? 888-957-9570 is the number. That's what's coming up on the pregame show on a Phil Collins Friday and not a payday Friday. Phil Collins Friday. You got a Cal Miami. They're not playing today, but I'm feeling this matchup, man. This is the first time I think we're really excited about a college football in the Bay Area matchup. And it's not the big game. It's Cal and Miami. And maybe, just maybe, we're getting a new rivalry on 95.7 The Game.
Oreo cookie, and out here in the Bay, we wake up early for the pregame show with the big homie, Joe Spadoni, on 95.7 The Game.
Thank you, Oreo Cookie. One segment down, 2 more to go here on the pregame show with yours truly. And the morning roast is going to be insane today. You've got all the action going on this weekend. We got 49ers Cardinals. We got Cal Miami, College Game Day in the Bay in Berkeley. Can't wait for that. Who's going to that game? 888-957-9570. We've been reacting to just some incredible baseball and football games last night. The Brew Crew and the Airbender, Devin Williams, choke it away. And Pete Alonso has his moment in a Mets uniform. You know what? I got to listen to it again because John Shambi, ESPN, hell of a call.
The pitch. Swing and a ball drilled. Right field. Freeling back. At the wall. Out of here! It's out of here! Alonso, an opposite field home run, and the Mets had the lead. Pete Alonso, the polar bear, takes Devin Williams deep. And here in the ninth, the comeback kids have done it again. It's 3-2 Mets.
The only person I feel bad for yesterday, and I don't know a lot of Brewers fans, so if you are a Brewers fan here in the Bay, I'm so sorry. I feel that too, but hey, at least your team's not moving to Sacramento, so take solace in that. I felt bad for Bob Uecker, longtime voice of the Brew Crew, the radio side. Guy's like 90 years old. You know him as Harry Doyle, probably from Major League. If you don't, he was a player before that. He's just a legend, just an absolute legend of the game. Just not going to see his Brew Crew advance. That was tough. It's tough. But shout out to the Mets, and that's going to be a tremendous series again. Mets, Phillies, cannot wait for that. Padres, Dodgers, juicy. Shout out Biggie Smalls. You know what else is juicy? This 49ers Cardinals matchup, sneakily, is really big. And you could say that's not a gotta-have-it game. It's not a must-win game. But because you do have the Thursday Night Football, and Carlos called last segment, and he wasn't even worried about this game, which I don't like that energy, by the way. I don't like when you're already looking ahead. You got to focus on the Arizona Cardinals this week. Can't worry about the Seahawks. Can't worry about a sharp week. Can't worry about any of that. You could only worry about the opponent this week. And they're coming off an embarrassing loss to a rookie quarterback. Those are the reality. That's the reality. Those are the facts. They came off a humbling loss to your former head coach in Cliff Kingsbury, now OC with Washington, and a rookie freaking quarterback. That's embarrassing. That's humbling. You have got to think coming back on the road now that you can put a game plan together and keep it close to a division rival. That's what the Cardinals are doing. And if I'm the 49ers, I try to get out to a lead and smell blood and put them away fast. I want to take away any confidence that they try to gain early if I'm San Francisco. And what does that mean? It means running the ball down their freaking throats with Jordan Mason. That's what I want. I want Jordan Mason to get 20-plus carries. I want him to get 100-plus rushing yards. I want Brock Purdy to do his thing. I want him to sling the ball around a little bit. I want him to get some rushing yards as well. Do a little scamper, a little Purdy scramble action, little scrambled eggs. Get a little chive action in there. Make sure you got that salted butter. That's what I want from Brock Purdy. God, I am selfish, though, this week, personally, because I hate when they have back-to-back games like this at home at 1 o'clock, because it's going to be a gorgeous weekend. It's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be hot, though, too. So if you are going to the game at Levi Stadium, it's going to be toasty. Bring the sun hat. Bring the sunscreen. Right? Well, if you want to get some sun, I don't know, bring the SPF like 9 or whatever that tanning lotion is, whatever. I don't know. Bring that if you want to. Just stay hydrated. The IVs are going to be kicking for the players and the people, maybe. But we don't want the people. We don't want anyone getting hospitalized, all right? So Always get that drink of water if you're having a drink of beer. You're having some hard liquor. You got to go in between. Got to make sure you got that water too, all right? That's my one thing. That's my PSA for everybody, all right? And speaking of Jordan Mason and getting a lot of carries this weekend, here's his quarterback, Brock Purdy, just talking about the skills that he has shown through 4 weeks of this season.
I think he's got just good skills with seeing the defense and a good feel. So when he's running these, choice routes and stuff from the backfield, he understands where the quarterback needs to put the ball, and then from there he's able to make plays, man. Obviously, he's great with shedding tackles and making plays after the catch and the yak that comes with it. And so he's got a lot of potential with it. We just got to continue to grow in that area together and give him some opportunities. But from what we've done so far, even dating back to last year, he's made, some catches and stuff last year out of the backfield as well. And so I'm really happy for him, and I know that we still have to continue to get better together.
Here's more from Brock Purdy talking about the critics and not buying into that and the outside noise.
I don't, buy into really what people say about me or what they believe about me. Like I said before, all that matters is for me to come in, do my job really well, allow this offense to move and be the machine that it is, and go out and find a way to win. And so if we're doing that, people can say all that they want, but I'm performing for my guys in the locker room and the coaches and in this organization. That's all that matters. And so I continue to hang my hat on that, and that's my mindset every game is I'm playing for these guys right here, no one else. Like, obviously our faithful and the fans and everything, but more than anything, man, the guys in the locker room that we go to work with every single day. And so, that's my mindset. And then obviously if you watch the film and the games, then you see what you see.
What I love about Brock too is his personality. It's very vanilla, right? It's very just humble guy. That's fine. That's fine. That's okay. We do love our sound bites. We love the guys that are a little snarky sometimes. I know the media loves Aaron Rodgers because he throws out these zingers and these buzzwords and, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me. But there's just something so refreshing about listening to Brock at the podium and then his style of play. Because I do think he's a different person when he gets onto that field. Yes, he's calm, cool, collected, like he's there at the podium, but he's fiery. And I will say, it does remind me a little bit, again, reminds me, it's not the same guy, not the same person, but Tom Brady was like that too. When he was at the podium, calm, cool, collected, from the Bill Belichick tree, right? You don't say anything. Don't show a lot of personality. You don't want to give the media anything. Don't want to give the opposing team any bulletin board material. But when he steps onto that field, he is fiery. He is in your face. He is throwing the F-bombs. He's got a little swag to him. I think Tom is a little more psycho Tom when he's out there than Brock Purdy is. But Brock, hey, he's got a little showmanship. He does a little shimmy. He does a little, little dance moves. He'll get in your face a little bit. I like Brock's on-field persona. I think it's really understated, and it's perfect for what this team needs. That calm, cool confidence, but a little cockiness can go a long way too. It's a life lesson for all you listening. And those of you just getting off work, getting ready for work, getting ready for school, good morning to all of you. It's the pregame show, Joe Spadoni. You got me for one more segment. We're going to take a quick break here. More of your calls, more of your texts. 888-957-9570 is the number. The 2-2 49ers are hosting the 1-3 Arizona Cardinals this Sunday at Levi Stadium. What are you most confident in with the 49ers in this matchup? And what are you worried about? 888-957-9570. We'll come on back on the other side on 95.7 The Game.
Pregame Show with Joe Spadoni on 95.7 The Game.
Someone call mine. My mama said you can't hurry love. No, you just have to wait. She said love don't come easy, but it's a game of give and take. You can't hurry love.
Sing it, Phil.
No, you just have to wait.
God
just
bless
trust in the good time.
Hope he's doing all right. Again, no one rocked a receding hairline quite like one Phil Collins. It's a Phil Collins Friday. It's a football Friday. It's a feel-good Friday. I'm feeling great. It's beautiful weather. It's supposed to cool down a little bit today, but it's still going to be hot over the weekend. If you're going to the game, going to any games this weekend, please stay hydrated, stay safe, wear your sunscreen, wear your sun hats, whatever. That's my PSA. All right, I said it a bunch. If you weren't listening, that's your fault. If you come back looking like a lobster on Monday, you should have been listening to me. Sorry. Should have. But I always like to tell myself, you know, when you come red, it's all right. It'll tan over. Got to get that base coat. But I'm also not advocating to get sunburnt anytime soon. Although I'm going to be in Hawaii next weekend. Whoop. Little shameless plug there. Can't wait for that. I'm going to be a best man at a destination wedding. A lot of pressure, Spadone, doing that speech? No. The speech is going to be short and sweet, which is what all bridesmaid/best man speeches should be, by the way. Short and sweet. No, ain't no one coming to listen to me talk for more than 5 minutes. Now, I'll say this, having been to just one wedding, nice guy Stephen Langford, formerly the Pregame Show, he just got married. Shout out to him. I think he's there honeymooning soon. And he's going to my old homeland, Italia, the Amalfi Coast. But his brother had a great speech. It was his best man. It was his brother, Ian Langford. It was tremendous. Great job. Got a little emotional. Hit all the strong points. The humor, tugging at the heartstring. All that. It was great. It was great. But again, do it off the cuff. Do it from the heart. Can't go wrong. And he had some stuff scripted, which is okay. If you're a little nervous in front of talking people, that's okay. But short and sweet, you can't go wrong whether you're the best man or bridesmaid. And that's what I'm going to be doing. No one's like, hey, we're in Hawaii right now. Ain't no one trying to hear this guy talk for 5 minutes. All right? If you want to, tune in the Pregame Show Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 a.m. There you go. All right. We got one more segment here. And by the way, I've teased it, but the Morning Roast has a very special guest today. One of the greatest linebackers in the history of the game, in the history of the 49ers, one Patrick Willis joining the Morning Roast. That's right. P. Willie, baby. Patrick Willis joining the Morning Roast today. It's either 7 o'clock or 7:20. I'm just going to tell you to be tuned in the 7 o'clock hour for the whole thing. How about that? How about them apples? So download that Odyssey app. Follow us on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all whatever. And you'll be locked and loaded. Patrick Willis joining the Morning Roast in the 7 o'clock hour. Not going to want to miss that. I'm not, because I'm going to be running the board for the show. But I can't wait to get his thoughts on a guy like Fred Warner and what he means to this squad. And not comparing themselves to each other, because they are a little different. But when you watch Fred Warner and the joy and the intensity in which he plays with, it does remind you of Patrick Willis. Maybe not the ferocity, because when I think of Patrick Willis, he was a little more understated, but he was a leader. And those are the same qualities I see in Fred Warner. Fred Warner is, when I look at all the players, and I hear Baldy talk about this all the time, and I agree with him so damn much, Fred Warner is just the epitome of class on the field, off the field. He's got the right energy all the time. He plays the game with enthusiasm. He is always near the ball, trying to make plays. I know what I'm getting from him every single week. And no, it might not be the best every single week. I don't think his performance last week was as good, his performance against the Los Angeles Rams was as good as, the one prior against the Vikings, but he picked it up last week and got a pick 6. So he'll learn from his mistakes. And it's just such a joy to watch him play. So I can't wait to hear what Patrick Willis sees in him. And if he sees some of himself when he watches Fred Warner play. And by the way, Hall of Famer. Patrick Willis. How dare me not even say Hall of Famer Patrick Willis, baby. He's got the gold jacket. Gold jacket, green jacket, who gives it? There you go. If you get the reference, you get the reference. Brock Purdy. He was tremendous versus the New England Patriots. You don't take my word for it. Take Mark Schlereth and his word for it. Former Super Bowl champion, offensive lineman for Washington, for Denver, played under Mike Shanahan, knows the Shanahans very well, joins Willard and Dibbs every other week, courtesy of the River Islands guest line. Mark Schlereth on Purdy's performance against the New England Patriots.
I think probably a little bit of both. I mean, I thought Brock Purdy was tremendous. And for all those people who say, well, Brock Purdy's just a quarterback of the system and he just, it's just all the guys around him and this, that, and the other. Listen, man, that guy is a really outstanding quarterback and he's a big-time quarterback. And obviously, one thing about the Patriots, I know they're not the most talented team, but they're a big physical football team, man, and really physical on both sides of the ball. So it's not like it's an easy matchup. It's not like anytime you play the Patriots, you're not going to be tested physically. They'll run the ball. They'll defend it. They're pretty good that way. Obviously the quarterback situation and some of the periphery players, I refuse to call anybody who handles ball. I call them ball handlers. I don't call them skill position players. That irritates me. So the ball handlers, not maybe talented as some, but still an NFL football team, and they still have the potential to beat you. So I like what the 49ers did, and I love what Brock Purdy did.
Mark Schlereth yesterday, and this is the one that was interesting to me. Take a listen to this on Kyler Murray, because I totally agree, and I've been talking about the inconsistencies for Kyler all week long. Here's Schlereth reiterating those same sentiments.
Kyler Murray's talented. Kyler Murray is explosive. Kyler Murray's all those things. Is he good? Right now, no. I think he's way too inconsistent. He is here's my issue with a quarterback like that, versus Brock Purdy. I have this rule I talk about all the time. I made it up, but in my mind, it's how offense needs to be run. I call it the 70-30 rule. And the 70-30 rule is 70% of the time I need my quarterback and I need my offense to be on schedule, right? I've got to be on schedule. Hey, 30% of the time when things break down, as they often do, then off schedule, I need a quarterback to make a play, okay? When you live in that world, in that realm, you'll survive that off schedule stuff. And every now and again, you'll make a big play, but you probably won't hurt yourself if you're in that kind of 70% we're on schedule. We're in second down and 6-, we're in third down and 2-. When I'm living in that world, I can operate my offense.
It's such a good point because Brock Purdy balances that line perfectly. When you watch him play, because he can use his legs and he does use his legs, and sometimes he does find himself in trouble. But more often than not, he is extending plays and keeping his eyes downfield and trying to do something. He's trying to keep the play alive. Now, you love that. Not all quarterbacks can do that. There's a lot of stiffs out there. Trust me. I watched Aiden O'Connell a lot last year. Guy's got no mobile bone in his body. And if the play broke down, he was probably getting sacked or had to throw it away. Brock's got enough athleticism to extend plays with his legs and live to play another down or pick up a first down. But it's balancing that, right? And far too often you see guys like Kyler Murray, right? You've seen guys in the past like a Michael Vick potentially, or a Cam Newton, like I mentioned, that dual threat, big-armed quarterback that has that arm arrogance, but the arrogance to not know when to just go down sometimes or eat the play or throw it out of bounds. Doing too much, you force something, and that's when a turnover happens and you have a bad performance like Kyler did last week against Washington. I think Purdy balances it very well. I think guys like C.J. Stroud balance it very well. I think we're seeing this year, in the last couple of weeks, Lamar Jackson balancing it very well. And I think his athleticism obviously is multiple tiers above everyone else. But it's the throws that he makes from the pocket, from the structure, that ultimately has to make the defense play honest. So when you're playing within the structure of the whole game, and then late in the game, you find yourself in a tight situation, things start breaking down, and you haven't really scrambled all game, and what do you know? You got 10, 15, 20 yards of daylight. You take that, and that can be the difference between a win and a loss. And I see that a lot from Brock Purdy watching these games. You can't spy Brock Purdy. That's just not what you're doing. But you got to respect the legs. You do. And it's refreshing to watch a quarterback know when to go down, know when to throw it away, and know when to use his legs. I think that separates the good from the great, is picking and choosing spots like that. I think Russell Wilson, and I know we all think Russell Wilson now, he's washed, he's all this, he's all that. Thought Russell Wilson was perfect at that with Seattle in his prime. He would extend these plays, use his athleticism just enough to get the first down, to scamper or slide inbounds. Now, obviously, he has the baseball background, just like Brock kind of does. Obviously, his dad played there. I don't know if Brock was any good in high school, junior high, whatever. You can ask his parents about that. But I know that Russell Wilson has that background, and it played to his advantage. 888-957-9570. We're up against it. We got about a minute 30 left. Let me just end with this one. Maybe give a little hope to Niners fans that want Davante Adams. Here was your boy Q on yesterday. Raider Nation Radio host out there in Las Vegas, covers the Las Vegas Raiders, and he joined Bonte and Shasky yesterday, courtesy of the River Islands guest line. He could see a situation where Davante Adams is traded to San Francisco. Take a listen.
You know, I think that would actually, it's funny, we actually talked about, the Niners and the Raiders swapping wide receivers back when Brandon Ayuk was still holding out and wanted his contract extension. And I, for one, said, hey, I think that'd be a great move, right? The 49ers could get a great wide receiver right now, and make no mistake about it, he's still a great wide receiver. And the Raiders could get a younger dude that has a history with Antonio Pierce, and everything could be good. The Raiders had the money to pay him. That didn't work out that way. But I could still see a situation where he ends up in San Francisco, especially since he's a Bay Area dude, and coming to the West Coast was a big deal for him. He wanted to be on the West Coast so his family could come see him play. So I would not rule San Francisco out, even though I know they're not on the wish list of Davante. But I don't think that the wish list of Davante should matter for the Raiders. They need to do what's best for them.
Where will Davante go? Well, he's not going to be suited up for the Raiders this week as they head to Denver, Colorado to take on the Broncos. Both teams 2-2, and the Raiders are riding an 8-game winning streak against the Broncos. Something tells me that streak is going to be snapped, though. You know what streak's not going to be snapped? The Morning Roast streak of just tremendous guests, because they got another one today. Patrick Willis, Hall of Famer, 7 o'clock hour. Be there or be square. Have a good weekend, everybody. Be safe. Stay cool. I'll talk to you on Monday on 95.7 The Game.